Yes, people, welcome back to the channel. And before you say it, yes, I know it could be a little bit too early to make sweeping statements or sweeping judgments on the signings United have made. But this video is all about first impressions. And not even just first impressions, about what we feel like, what we could feel like we possibly might see down the line in terms of how important these players could be to the rest of our season and how important they could be to our future and what we could almost expect to see from them. So I don't think it's too early. Hence why I wouldn't be doing it. But I think there's enough to probably make some first impressions, and then we can almost be like hopeful and talk about how we can maximise each player and what we can hopefully, or what you predict that you may see, or how they will develop as the season continues. But because, let's be honest, it's been a perennial issue for United for years now, and that has been recruitment. And we've been crying out for a window like we've seen many of our rivals have, where they have one window that's almost transformative. I'm not currently expecting United to be like that, because I think there's too many things to fix and there's too many issues, and that goes beyond even personnel. But recruitment has been somewhere that United have struggled. And I do believe no midfielder signing, as I've said for ages, I've banged on about it, I think a lot of you have as well, has been a massive negative. But we are hoping that United have signed a few players that could be first team mainstays that add impact to the team going forward. But let's talk about them. Obviously, Sesko's been getting a lot of accolades, but I want to talk about Mbeumo first. Because Mbeumo is my guy. Everyone knows that. That has been a player that I've advocated for signing for about 18 months. I thought he had the potential to be. He still could if he ironed things out, of being one of the better right wingers in world football. I think United just need to be good enough to kind of platform him on the biggest stages. And he's come in and he has definitely shown bits and pieces and glimpses of his quality. Played in a formation, playing in a system that doesn't necessarily perfectly suit him, but it was always one that I still thought he had the ability to play, because I thought he was too good of a footballer not to be effective. He's almost, what would you call him? I put him in that category of the likes of Saka and Salah. I think Saka probably a little bit harsh to him, but you get players that can be a bit ugly ducklings, where they're more efficiency based more than flair, where they're goal and assist machines. That's what they generate. They generate chances. They generate tangible things that affect and win games. And Mbeumo is perfectly in that. And you've seen how effective a Mo Salah has been for years. I'm not saying he's of the same calibre and quality, but he's almost from that same ilk, where no matter how they play or no matter how their performance is, they are always a threat to create or score a goal. And that's what Mbeumo is, and that's what made me so happy about his signing. He's scored 2 goals so far this season. He's got 1 assist as well. He's probably unlucky not to have a couple of more. Obviously, I remember a save against Donnarumma. I think from a general performance level, he's had a couple of good performances. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and be disingenuous. He's had a couple of poor ones as well. But this is why I thought this conversation was going to be an interesting one, because I think we all know it is easier for new signings to come in and play well when the environment is conducive to being successful. And that has not been the case at United. So you almost have that shiny toy syndrome that a lot of, especially attacking signings, have been brandished with, where they come into the team and the expectations are high that they're almost going to be the saviour and turn things around by themselves. That won't be the case. And I do think we haven't seen the best of Mbeumo yet. You've seen glimpses of how good he can be. And I'm interested to see the combination that him and Sesko could be, because for me, I think Mbeumo is one of the, especially when he gets in that right half space, there's not many better crosses of the ball. And when you've got a big 6'5" man like Sesko in midfield, I think that could be a beautiful combination. I almost thought, I know Tony is a little bit more associative than Sesko when it comes to almost like his hold-up play and his link play, because I think Tony almost loved that side of the game, almost like sometimes dropping in. Sesko can do them things, but I still want him in between the boxes, in where he can be dangerous and use his size and his physical attributes to be a goal threat like we've seen the past couple of games. But I'm so intrigued to see how the season goes on, that possible combination of Mbeumo and Sesko. And the thing is with Mbeumo that I love, obviously, he's got that tenacity about him. He's got that movement. He's got them goal-scoring instincts. And no matter what his performance levels in the game, he's a threat at all times. And I think that is always an important component of an attacking player. Yeah, obviously, I think he had a really good first half on the weekend against Sunderland. Second half, not so much. I think he struggled the game before. He's had his poor periods, I will not lie. But he's had some really excellent ones as well, especially the one against Burnley, which I think was one of the better individual performances I've seen from anyone this season in the league. So I've literally got no worries about him. And I think when eventually, that's hopeful thinking, the team starts to consistently perform as one, that's when you'll see the likes of Cunha, Sesko and Mbeumo optimised to the best of their ability. Because I still think we haven't scratched the surface, and I think the problems are beyond them. So now that I've gone past Mbeumo, I'm going to talk about Sesko. And I almost was going to talk about it first because I was a little bit waxy lyrical about him when I was in the review after the Sunderland game, because I thought he was excellent. I'm not going to sit here and say that he's perfect, but for me, I know it can be an overused word, but like potential and traits there, he's got the lot for me. He's got pace and he's got power. He's got size, but for a 6'5" man, have you ever been in a room with a 6'5" guy? I know that's a meme. It's imposing. But he's got the technical ability and the tight touches as well. He's not always consistent with it. Sometimes he can do something great. Sometimes he can look a bit clunky. But I think that's always just going to be a bit of a biomechanical thing when he's that big. But I said it from the moment that he started and people saw he didn't play that well. I think you only need to watch a player for about 5 minutes to see whether they've got something or not. And Sesko definitely does, which is why he's garnered so much, how would you word it, so much positive conversation about him since a young player and been monitored so much by a big club since he was 17, 18 years old, is because he looked like if he hones it and puts it together, he can catapult himself into one of the best strikers in the world in what is a very, very, let's talk about, a very below par striker market. And I think Sesko has already shown me that I think his ceiling is higher than the like of Erasmus Højlund. Obviously, Højlund's doing well for Napoli, but I think Sesko's got some serious elite traits there that if he does find it mentally and he finds an environment and he has the right players around him and he continues to develop himself, he can be a serious footballer. And that's for sure, because I don't think there is much weakness to his game. I think everything is upstairs with him. It's about decisions, having the consistency in your play. I think he needs to, for his size, he can use his body, he can use his arms a little bit better as well. I think sometimes he can be a little bit too nice. I think when he's holding play up for his, he should be able to use his arms a little bit more. It's just ironing out kinks, his movement as well, which I think I've been positive the past couple of games, showing them instinctive front foot movement on the box, which can get you so many goals, and that's what got him first to score against Sunderland across the defender. And you can get 5-6 goals just being alive in the area like that, and that comes with time, that comes with experience. And I hope he gets that almost relentless nature of not getting dismayed when the service doesn't come, and then make the most of it when it does. But not even seeing the best of his ball striking ability, which is one of his best traits yet. It's early, and I think it's just untapped potential with him. And you know me, I'm not one to get over the top, but I think that signing is one that I'm actually positive about being worth it in the end. That could be wishful thinking, that could be optimistic, but that's one that I truly believe. So now that we've talked about Sesko, we could talk about Matheus Cunha, and this has been a bit more of an interesting one because that cringy 007 gimmick that they run on Twitter, obviously he's not had a goal or assist yet. I think he's had a bit of an injury layoff. I think he's only played in terms of minutes just over 490s, but he's been in and out of the team. I think he's one that his performances haven't matched his output, because I don't think I've ever seen a game from him. I think he was poor against Grimsby. I think his Brentford game wasn't the best, but he's a maverick, mercurial talent where every time he touches the ball, or you do have that feeling that something can happen. He's a match winner. The way he beats people, the way he glides past people, obviously Rabonna's through balls. his power when he's running. Looks like sometimes when he gets going, he looks like he's playing against under 14s, like they can't get near him. I think he's been a little bit too anxious to get his goals, shooting when he shouldn't, taking too many long-range efforts when there could be a better pass on. I think he's got that sense of eagerness of wanting to prove himself too much. And I was one of them where I thought Cunha was one of the better footballers in the Premier League. But because the league has become so systematic, and he almost seems a bit like of a generalist type where if someone asks you what is his best position, you wouldn't look at him as a traditional number 10. I don't think there is many of those anymore. But that's probably where he works best. You wouldn't really see him as a striker. He's not really had much success as an out-and-out striker, even though he's played there a lot in his career. And then you wouldn't say he's an out-and-out left winger either. He's almost like he's a combination of all three of them. And that is where you do worry about his translation. If you went into a 4-3-3, I think he'd probably just replace Bruno. But then it still requires a different component of his game, especially for the elite teams. But as a footballer, I've got no doubts about Cunha. I think his performances have been better than his output. I think he's looked dangerous every time he stepped foot on the pitch. I know he doesn't always have the end product so far, but he is someone, I'm not going to lie to you, can call me an aesthetic merchant. I've actually enjoyed watching. So I think Cunha will come good. And I think players like that are almost needle movers in the big matches could become important in future games, or when United obviously improve and the stakes of our matches become bigger against bigger opponents where the game's on a knife edge. And I think he's someone that has that ability to grab it by the scruff of the neck and create something out of nothing. And those players at this level can't be understated. So when he irons out decision-making, becomes less anxious to shoot when he shouldn't, and almost work on, obviously, the defensive side of his game. I think he was poor off the ball against Brentford as well. Could have something serious there, but I think he's got a tough job on his hands because Mason Mount, who plays in his position, seems to be a big favourite of Amorim. But I don't think it's too bad of a problem to have if Mount continues to perform. But Cunha and Mount keeping each other on their toes is never going to be a bad thing. And finally, we've only watched him, so I'll get it. He's gonna kill me for this. We've only watched him for one match against Sunderland at home in Sesko Lammens, but I still was clapping. I was praising. I was enjoying. Anytime I think he had 2 cross claims. He did every action that he had to do in a solid manner, and I thought his distribution. I think he wasn't tested so much with his distribution, Sesko Lammens, because I think he was instructed. I think he was instructed by Amorim to kick long. That was one of the issues I had with the Sunderland game. Is I think we kicked long a lot, and I don't know how sustainable that will be when we obviously have to kind of dominate games. I think Sesko was good in terms of his hold up, and I think we were good in terms of claiming loose balls and second balls. But I do believe Lammens showed me enough where I know he's better than Bayern Day. That might not be hard. I'm just excited that we started the new keeper that we have signed, and he looked more solid and he showed me a little bit of enough to be positive about how he looks in games like Anfield. To be fair, it won't surprise me if Amorim turned around and started Bayern Day. Can never know with that guy, but I think me and many others were cheering. We're cheering when Lammens went to claim crosses. I think I've heard from people that went to the game that he was very vocal, communicating with the back four all game, very loud, and almost emanating a bit of security to the back line. It's early to say, but I think United need, when we're talking about perspective stuff, which is obviously a part of this video, is if Lammens cements himself as a good keeper who looked promising in the Belgian league, performs well, and nails himself down as United number one that we can rely on, there is no downplaying how important that could be for Manchester United, because there is no successful team in football that ever has a poor keeper. A keeper is a major part of this, especially nowadays. They can win you 10, 15 points a season sometimes, and it can also be such a massive aid in the build-up as well, which has become a massive part of football today. So yeah, this has been a window that has been important. It missed out the midfield, but I just thought I'd give him a little tidbit going into National Week where content can be scarce. But I thought, give them a little bit of the first impressions of United signing so far and what we could expect them to possibly give us and aid us with in the future. But that is it for me. I'm going to be back with another video in a couple of days. And I'm going to keep them coming because I think the start has been brilliant. The support has been even better. And I respect everyone that has enjoyed the content so far and encourage me to keep it going. I'm going to try and get some live soon. I'm going to try and iron out some kinks. The way I said that sounded so mad. I won't pause on that one. But yeah, because I think live interaction and get to actually have some discussion with you will end up being good. So I'm going to have that coming to you as soon as I sort it out. But thanks anyway. Remember to like, comment, subscribe if you're new. And I'll see you next time.